there something better than a raven?
She's got nice skin. You want to say your prayers?
Witches don't need prayers.
Bullet Witch is one of those games you've all seen before when going to your used game store, right next to copies of Stranglehold and Singularity. But are those opinions that the game deserves to be left at the bottom of the bargain bin justified? Well, the game was recently released on the Humble Store and Steam thanks to Xseed and Marvelous, so I decided to hop back in and see if it was bad as people remembered. It seems the end of the world is truly here. There are masses of natural disasters, famine, diseases and riots all around the world. Eventually the gates of hell themselves open up and demons pour out. Humanity's on its last legs. So after finding out how messed up the world has become, of course the first area you visit is a nice suburb. Sure, there are a few burnt out cars, but nothing a new lick of paint couldn't fix. That's basically all your plot, as the campaign has you hopping from level to level trying to find the source of the hellspawn and put an end to it. That's okay though, as I feel the characters hold up without a lot at stake. Apart from the end of humanity. That's pretty important, I guess. You play as Alicia, who is, hey, you guessed it, a Bullet Witch. Her design is a mashup of East and West, with her design being Japanese looking, very Final Fantasy Black Mage-esque, but her personality is serious, a little broody and a smidge of sarcasm. I really like Alicia, she's a cool character to play, and some of her lines are endearing and made me chuckle. Fun fact, Alicia appeared naked in Playboy and is also voiced by Ash Ketchum. If you want a character that's full-blown Japanese, look no further than Max Cougar, who looks like he fell out of an EDF game, and is here to smash some demons and try his luck with Alicia. And finally we have the voice in Alicia's head. He counsels her, he understands, he talks to her. Not much is known about the disembodied voice, as it's not explained in the game, and was probably left for the sequel that never happened. But if I could put my own game theory hat on, the voice is obviously a grimoire from Nier, as Bullet Witch takes place in the Drakengard series. My sources, I asked this question to Yogotaro, who started following me on Twitter, so there you go. To help you take out the hordes of hell, you have your trusty broomstick, or boomstick, as it's also a gun. The gun comes in four forms: standard machine gun, which is good at shooting enemies at mid-range, and can carry you through most enemy encounters. The shotgun is great for close quarters, obviously, and has been powered up from its 360 version. Now it actually does damage rather than just coughing on enemies. The sniper allows you to take enemies out from range and has armor-piercing rounds, so you can take down tanks and other heavy enemies if you have no magic to spare. Finally, my favourite weapon is the minigun. It shreds through enemies and has pretty decent range and accuracy. The downside, however, is it takes a lot of magic to reload. Oh yeah, you use magic to reload, so as long as you have enough, you effectively have unlimited ammo. Also, the gun rod uses magic bullets that only harm demons, so don't worry about friendly fire. You also use magic for a variety of spells. These spells range from not really useful to hidden deep in a menu so you couldn't cast them when you need them. Which is a shame, because some of the spells I like the idea of, such as the Rose Spear, where Alicia throws a rose and pikes come out of the ground to impale enemies, and even sets them on fire. The problem is it's hard to aim where you want it to go, and even if it lands in a group of enemies, it feels like it's random if it kills them or not. Then we have our tech demo spells, like Tornado and Meteor, which throws physics objects around, something I'm pretty sure would have caught the 360 on fire. And the Meteor cinematic looks like it's from a Super Nintendo game. Using these big spells is risky for a number of reasons. One, the physics objects are chaotic neutral, so they will kill enemies and friendlies, so if you are not careful, next to a tornado, a car can come from nowhere and take you out. 2, when casting the spell you aren't invincible, so you can be knocked out of the cast animation or even die, so be careful where you are. But on the plus side, Alicia will say a line straight from an angsty teenager's poetry book. And my favourite spell is this one, where you can make the music disappear by pressing the start button. Combat is fun to engage in, as even though the game is a third-person shooter, the gears of Warplague hadn't caught on yet, so instead of popping in and out of chest-high walls waiting for your health to come back, you're dodging and flipping past bullets and rockets, and if you need some cover you can just make your own. At the end of each stage you are ranked based on your kills, how long you took, and survivability, which isn't how much damage you took, but the amount the civilians took. But don't worry, if a civilian succumbs to too much damage you can Shark Week all over them and make them feel better. The rank doesn't really matter unless you want your game to have more SS than a Wolfenstein game, as you get the same amount of upgrade points regardless of your rank, and boy howdy you're going to need a lot if you want to max out your weapons and spells. Level design is a little awkward, as you have these huge levels to explore, but there is no reason to do so apart from finding enemies you don't have to fight. And you wouldn't know the path you walk has an invisible wall until you spend 5 minutes walking over to check. Fortunately, in the new PC version, they have added a dash ability to explore levels faster. However, it's a risky maneuver to use, as you could find yourself teleporting through the ground and being swallowed by the abyss. I am impressed by the levels of destructibility in the game, with the explosions causing physics objects to fly around and always kill you, and by the end of the game, whole buildings crumble. This is pretty standard these days, but on a console in 2006 it's pretty impressive. I'm sure this would have slowed the 360 to a crawl, but on the PC it's nice and stable. I do enjoy the enemy design in this game. The first bunch you encounter are standard humanoid soldiers, but they do know how to dress to impress. Taking inspiration from the Ed Gein collection, this is fine to begin with, but it's hard to tell if that soldier in the distance is a sniper until the laser beam is aimed and you're dead. Did I mention I like the enemy design? Well, there are a few more outlandish designs. You got your big boys, your John Carpenters, and your Rick and Morty fans. My favourite is the Worm Boys, because they run around all goofy and make me happy. They try to build tension with this enemy encounter. You enter a dark tunnel with no enemies and all of a sudden you hear a sound. Then you catch a glimpse of the monster. Then you actually fight it, and it gets a lot less scary. Then you see a group of them, and you fall in love. What few bosses there are, and there is only 2 in the game, they look great in an overly designed way, which could be a detriment as the bosses don't really attack you directly. Probably because they saw what the enemy designer gave them, put it in the game, and then thought, oh wait, we have to make this thing move and attack now. Oops. I wish I could find more of what this monster designer did, but his name seems to be lost to the anvils of time, such is the Bullet Witch curse. After you beat the game, there is some content to make the grind of maxing out Alicia a little easier. There are 5 costumes to play around with, my favourite being the White Witch outfit, and my least favourite being this dumb mummy one. There is also an assortment of bonus missions that change up the levels, with allowing you to use spells that don't unlock until much later in the game, to changing enemies that appear in the stage, and more difficulty settings, which may be Bullet Witch's greatest claim to infamy, as beating the game on 360 on the hardest difficulty would yield you 1 gamer score, and beating a game on a higher difficulty would not give you the achievements for the lower difficulty. At least they kept that feature in the PC version. Not gonna lie, Bullet Witch isn't a rough game to play. It's fun at points and a little frustrating in others, but in some ways it does have a nostalgic charm to it. Not literally, but figuratively, like you're playing a PS2 game again. With its dated graphics, corny dialogue, character and enemy design, and its non-standard shooter gameplay, I can confidently say that Bullet Witch is the best PS2 game you can play on a 360 and PC. And no, I don't expect you to understand that. But you can pick up this game real cheap, second-hander on PC now, which I recommend as the PC version raises the resolution, improves performance, and adds some quality of life features. So go buy it, come on, please. Guys, maybe we could get a Bullet Witch 2 directed by Yoko Taro, or maybe Bethesda will announce a wet remaster. It can happen.